Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for our virtual information session for Pratt Munson. We have some special guests today that will be here to answer some of your questions. Joining us, we have one current Pratt Junior, and we also have a current first year student from Pratt Munson. Feel free to drop any questions you may have throughout the presentation into the chat. We'll have a chance after a presentation that I'm about to give to answer those questions. I also want to mention that if you are a parent joining us today, please be sure to be on your own device. I'll give you a few moments to get connected to your own device rather than sharing one with your child. We're going to break out into a breakout room after the presentation. That way you'll have a chance to talk to some of our staff for very specific departmental related questions. Okay, so first off, I want to share my screen and we'll get into introductions. My name is Rainbow and I'm a senior admissions counselor at Pratt Munson. I'm also an alum, so I know firsthand what it was like to go through this program, and I'm very familiar with student services available and the courses. I want to also introduce some of our staff. You can raise your hand when I call your name. We have the director of Pratt Institute here with us, Natalie Capanelli.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining.
We also have our financial aid director, Brenda Taylor, with us today. We have our lovely registrar, Georgia Pham, and our student life director, Tiffany Varlero. We have our admissions director, Shannon Stockbridge, who is like quietly behind the scenes working with us today. And we have another admissions counselor here, Scott Brown, as well as an admissions counselor who you're probably familiar with, Campbell Silverstein, who works down at Pratt Institute. Of course, we have our lovely students. If you want to give yourself a brief introduction, we'll start with Maisie Milliken.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maisie. I use she, they pronouns. I'm a current junior at Pratt Institute and an alum of Pratt Munson. I am an art and design education major with a concentration in printmaking, and I'm very excited to enthuse about how great Pratt Munson was for me.
Thank you, Maisie. And Kaden Lewis, do you want to give an introduction?
Hi, I'm Kaden. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm a current first year at Pratt Munson, and I'm majoring in graphic design.
Thank you so much. And I also just want to say congratulations to all of the students that are in this group today. I know that you've all been accepted to Pratt Munson, and it's a really exciting opportunity. And I'm excited to share with you some information about our school. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen so we can get started with a short presentation. And first off, I want to jump into the history of our campus. So we were founded over 100 years ago, back in 1919, as the Munson Williams Proctor Arts Institute. And the Munson William Proctors were 3 generations of families who founded the principles of our institute. And they always had the idea that the arts play an important role in creating a vibrant community. Recently, we have rebranded as Munson, but over time, as this art institute received monumental acclaim, top schools like MICA, RISD, the Art Institute of Chicago, and Pratt would travel to little old Utica to recruit our students. We found that Pratt was taking a large number of those students, so we decided to combine our strengths and join forces. So around 1999, we began to offer students the option to begin the first 2 years of Pratt's BFA study in a more intimate and nurturing environment, upstate New York. After completing your sophomore year at the Utica campus, the vast majority of our students relocate down to our main campus, Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, to finish their degree. Although you also have the option to apply as a transfer student to any other four-year art and design school. So let's look at Pratt Institute a little bit. You've all heard of Pratt Institute. That's our main campus located in Brooklyn. Pratt is one of the world's most prestigious schools for art, design, and architecture. Obviously, they have a larger body of students, and we'll take a look at what our campus community and culture is like at the Utica location a little later in the presentation. But I will say Pratt Munson only enhances Pratt Institute. It's one of the top design schools in the world. But you may be wondering, why do students choose Pratt Munson? Well, we are definitely a cost-effective option without sacrificing the quality of your education. Our tuition is significantly lower than most other top art and design schools. And we also offer very small class sizes in this intimate, nurturing environment, which means each student is promised individualized attention from their instructors. And that also allows you to develop strong fundamental skills throughout your first 2 years here at Pratt Munson and create really strong connections with your instructors as well. And you will begin the first 2 years studying the same curriculum as your peers that begin their studies at the main campus Pratt Institute, ensuring your world-class education and automatic relocation down to Brooklyn in your junior year. We'll take a brief look at some of the majors that we offer at Pratt Munson. Those include art and design education, communications design majors, fine arts, and photography. And our campus is very small comparatively to most other colleges. We're home to roughly 200 students. These students travel from all over the country and all over the world to attend. And about 25% of our student body is from outside the US, creating a very diverse and cultural environment, which I believe is important for upcoming artists. We also offer a lot of different student life services available, including free and confidential mental health services. Meetings can be scheduled even online over video. And we offer accommodations for students that have disabilities or academic or student life related needs. The only thing you need to provide is documentation from a licensed medical provider. The majority of our students also reside on campus. We have 3 generous residence halls and modern, fully equipped studios. And we also have a lot of opportunities for students to join our clubs and activities on and off campus as well. And hopefully you'll get a chance to hear from our students what clubs they enjoyed the most. I was a part of the student government when I was a student here. So I got a voice to make proactive changes on campus, including the gender inclusive housing and late night snacks, which I know is still a tradition today. But I was also the special events coordinator of our programming board, which is a student-run club that gets to decide what sort of special events take place throughout the school year on and off campus. That could look like a field trip down to New York City to visit museums, or some of the local cities to visit museums, as well as an end of the year carnival. And I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of visiting Utica before, but that's where our campus is located. And if you haven't had a chance to visit, I encourage you to sign up for one of our upcoming events. Utica is a cute little quaint city with prominent architecture and Victorian historical homes. It's also located near the Adirondack Mountains, and it's about 4.5 hours either train ride or driving from New York City, providing exciting activities and inspiration outside of the classroom. And here you can see pictured some of my favorite places around campus and on campus. Of course, we are right in the heart of the Arts District in Utica. So in addition to galleries and artist residencies, there are also performing arts theaters that students can check out, open mic nights at the local cafes. Yeah, there's always something to check out for students, whether it be visual or performative nearby. One thing that I think is really unique about this school is that in addition to the college credit earning courses through Pratt Institute, we also offer non-credit community arts classes for kids, teens, adults, and seniors on our campus. And Pratt Munson students can sign up for these classes at a fraction of the cost. And there are also scholarship opportunities. If you're interested in ceramics, our campus is home to a premier ceramic studio where we mix all of our own clays and glazes in-house. And this studio also offers an introduction to wheel, coil, and slab techniques. In addition to the indoor electric gas kilns, students may also participate or assist in wood, salt, raku, and downdraft firings in our outdoor kiln yard. So I think that's one of my favorite buildings on campus. It's definitely a really cool place to check out. If you do come and visit us, I'll be sure to show you that space. Pratt Munson is also home to the Munson Museum of Art, which is a world-renowned museum with 20 galleries and a permanent collection of over 15,000 works of art, exhibiting artists like Pablo Picasso, Andy Warhol, Jackson Pollock, Salvador Dali, George O'Keeffe, Louis Bourgeois, and many, many more masterworks, as well as special exhibitions, visiting artist lectures. We also host community events, and we have a performing arts division and a film series twice a week that's free for students. A lot of these events are free for students. They can take advantage of all of these different areas of creativity. There are also exhibition opportunities on campus for first years and sophomores. In this spring, we will be offering a first year exhibition in the Pratt Munson Gallery, and all first years will have works on display. One student will be awarded as the outstanding first year student, and they will receive an award and a gift certificate to the campus store. It's like a huge honor. But in this Pratt Munson Gallery, we have exhibits that rotate each month. Usually we showcase alumni, faculty, contemporary artists, as well as the first year exhibit. And these include artist talks where students can come and listen to the artists and ask them questions about why they're making the work that they're making, and also it's a great networking opportunity. There are also sophomore exhibition opportunities, one of them including the McCauley Student Gallery, where we host openings every week. In the beginning of the school year, our sophomores break up into groups and sign up for show dates. They curate their show, advertise for their show, and we provide them with food and refreshments through the dining hall. It's always really exciting for me to be able to go to these shows because I can see what the students are working on throughout the school year. And in the spring, we will have a sophomore exhibition where all sophomores will have works on display in the Munson Museum of Art. This exhibit is curated by faculty, and it will continue to be on view from the spring throughout the commencement ceremony that we hold in May. The commencement ceremony sort of celebrates your time here spent at Pratt Munson. And there we will give out awards to the top sophomores from each year, and they will receive rewards and scholarships to Pratt Institute. So it's really exciting. All right, let's talk about financing your education, because I know that's really important in making a confident college decision. So about 96% of students do receive some form of institutional financial aid. U.S. citizens and permanent residents may also qualify for FAFSA. If you haven't completed your FAFSA application yet, I would encourage you to do so as soon as possible. And we share the same school code as our main campus.
And I will just chime in really quickly, sorry to interrupt, Bo, that as many of you know, the Department of Education is experiencing delays this year in releasing ICER information to all schools nationally. So any need-based aid will be calculated as soon as they release that to us. We did learn that they sent test data that's very useful, helpful, and working really well. All that to say, sorry, something's happening with the sound. All that to say that, you know, ultimately in mid-March, when they start releasing it, we will have financial aid packages ready shortly after that. But Brenda can talk more about that in our parent session momentarily.
Thank you, Natalie. I also want to say that the tuition savings that students experience by starting out at Pratt Munson is substantial, estimated at about $19,000 per year or $38,000 in total for the first 2 years before you relocate down to Brooklyn. That's a huge chunk of change. And our financial aid staff can provide personalized assistance to maximize available financial aid opportunities. We also encourage you to apply for outside scholarships to reduce your cost to attend. And you can find a list of these scholarship opportunities available on our website. All applicants are considered for merit scholarships determined based off of your GPA and portfolio scores. If you have submitted your standardized test scores, or if you're required to, we'll take those into consideration as well. And there's no separate application required to be considered for merit scholarship. These awards can cover up to half or more than half of your tuition cost at Pratt Munson, so they're very generous. Students that relocate down to Brooklyn are reconsidered for merit scholarship eligibility. And that's determined based off of your first 3 semesters of grades at Pratt Munson. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that relocation process. This past fall semester, our sophomores took a trip down to the Brooklyn campus. We call it the relocation trip. And there they get a chance to meet with faculty, current students, and administration. They watch a presentation and get to ask questions. And they also receive a tour of campus, and they get to spend some time in their specific department so they can learn what to expect throughout their junior and senior years of courses. And our students will continue to meet with the staff at the Brooklyn campus all throughout this spring semester. So any needs that you had met at Pratt Munson, we want to ensure that that relocation is seamless also in terms of your needs as an individual and as a student. I also want to add that upon graduating, you'll be rewarded your degree by Pratt Institute. So yeah, thank you for listening to me, provide a little bit of information about our campus. You can also visit our website to find out more information. You can sign up for a campus tour. Admitted Students Day will be in April. I'm sure you've received some information about that. And you can also set up a class observation. So if you want to get a taste for what it would be like to be an art student at Pratt Munson, you can set that up. If you don't see a date that's available that works for you, just send us an email. As long as one of us is available, we're usually pretty flexible. And you can also scan this QR code if you would like to see what life on campus is like. Follow us on Instagram. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I see a lot of messages in the chat. So that's great.
Yeah, and it looks like a lot of these are sort of being answered in line. I know we'll have a parent breakout session separately from this, so maybe we can save most of those cost questions for parents so that we can maximize our time here with the students.
Yes, and I really appreciate the staff that are helping me out today and answering these questions in real time. But yeah, I want to open up the floor with some intro questions for our students. I think that will be valuable for both the parents and the students to hear, what your experience is and was like at Pratt Munson. So I want to ask both of you, and we'll start with Maisie's answer first. Why did you choose Pratt Munson?
Oh boy, there's lots of reasons why I chose Pratt Munson. Um, Initially, it was the lower tuition that really pulled me in. Um, but in the end, I think that it was one of the best decisions that I made. Um, because the small class sizes and very kind of one-on-one intimate instruction from your professors, they really get to know you and know how to best support your growth. And I think that that like fundamentally changed my art practice. And I cannot express enough as somebody who's studying education how important that relationship between the teacher and the student is. And I have never experienced anything quite as incredible as the teacher-student relationship like at Pratt Munson. It's very, very friendly, very supportive, and it's really, really so good for not just my growth, but I can see how it's helped all of my peers grow.
Oh, that makes me so happy. As an alum, I like strongly relate to that. And Kaden, I want to call you out and ask, why did you choose Pratt Munson?
So I always knew that I wanted to go to the city in college, but like Maisie said, the lower tuition definitely was a standout feature. But I my parents were really nervous living in a small town. Like I've never lived in a big city, let alone the biggest city in America. Um, and so my parents were nervous and I was kind of nervous. So Pratt Munson is a really like uh, nice, small, like close-knit community so that I could get used to college itself before jumping to the city.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you both. And Maisie, I have another question for you. Who was your favorite professor and or class and why?
Okay, this is a really tricky one for me, but I think that my favorite professor was my printmaking professor, Andrew Mullally. I was not interested in printmaking before I took one of his classes, and the previous semester, so my first year as a junior here at the main campus in Brooklyn, I changed my studio core to printmaking because I loved it so much. Um, I was previously a painting studio concentration, and while I still love painting, I couldn't get enough of print. Um, Also, I think overall my favorite class was my first year foundations class. It's called Visualization Representation. It is a drawing class, and I had so much fun in that class, spending like 6 hours just drawing. I'd come home covered in charcoal, and my shoulders were sore from how much I was drawing. And it was so incredibly rewarding to come home tired from making art. And that class, again, was a lot of fun, and it really helped me grow as an artist.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know you changed your core. That's awesome.
I did. It's not a shock to anybody that knows me.
Awesome. Okay, I have another question for you, Maisie. What is your favorite memory of attending Pratt Munson?
I think that all of my favorite memories from attending Pratt Munson all stem from that tight-knit community. I made some of my closest friends, freshman year, sophomore year, and I live with 5 of my friends from Pratt Munson right now, and one of the best things that has happened to me. I know we're going to chat a little bit about this later, but my sophomore year, I was an RA. So I got to give back to that tight-knit community and really help foster that community and support all of those great connections. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making new friends, and that's inevitably what got me through, you know, being in college for the first time and being on my own. It's those friends, those connections that really helped support me in that.
Aw, I'm so glad. And Kaden, what are you most excited about in regards to relocating to the Brooklyn campus?
So, like I said, I always knew I wanted to go to the city. Like, it's just something that I've wanted to do since I was young. Um, so I'm really excited to be able to have this opportunity to actually live out my dream of living in the city as an artist. Um, I'm excited to make like all new connections with the staff and the larger student body size.
Awesome. Thank you. And Maisie, can you talk a little bit more about what the transition to Brooklyn has been like for you?
Of course. I it was definitely a little bit of an adjustment because I also grew up in a relatively small town, and spending time in Utica at Pratt Munson was a great transition, but nothing could have prepared me for living in New York City. Um, I'm having a lot of fun, but it definitely took a little bit of time to get used to all of like the way that this city functions. Um, in terms of classes, I felt right at home. I felt as though I was like welcomed into all of these spaces. And even though I made a really difficult decision to completely kind of start fresh and start new when I changed my studio core, um, I think that that was a great decision for me. And I, never felt as though I was out of place. Um, so yeah, it's definitely an adjustment to get used to the sheer size of this school and the size of the city, but it's exciting. It's a fun new experience that, I've gotten to experience and overcome all of the small little hurdles with a bunch of my friends from Pratt Munson.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the unique things that kind of, drew me to this specific program too, is that you get two separate experiences. So yeah, that's really great to hear. I'm glad everything's going so well. And then I want to ask both of you, I'm gonna start with Maisie again. What is, or what was your favorite club or activity that you participated in at Pratt Munson?
I really loved going on all of the field trips that programming board put together. Programming board and student government, they work together to get us to a lot of amazing places. And then clubs. I got to be part of craft club my sophomore year, which was really, really pleasant to just make some very carefree art that wasn't attached to any sort of assignment or grade. It had no weight to it, and I was making little stuff just for myself, and it was a great way to relax and have fun. Yeah.
Right, no deadlines.
Yeah, no deadlines.
And Kaden, how about you? What is your favorite club or activity that you've participated in on campus?
Mine would probably be video game club, partially because one of my closest friends runs it, but we have so much fun. There's a projector in the dining hall, and so many people come, usually because it's during late night snack, and we all just like connect over a love of whatever video game is playing. That's a great thing about the clubs at this school is like I've met multiple people that have such like the same niche interests as me that I wouldn't have met anywhere else. So you really connect over things like that.
Oh, and I forgot to mention earlier.
Can I just add on to that really quick?
Yeah.
The club officers of video game club when I was attending, so the previous 2 years, they have continued video game club here at the Brooklyn campus and it's expanded further. And I think that that's really great.
That's awesome. Well, it is definitely, I would say, the most popular club on campus right now. I just wanted to also add, I meant to say this in the presentation, but because we're a 2-year school, we do encourage students to come up with new clubs each year to be funded for supplies and materials upon approval. So, we have a pretty great list of different clubs right now for students to get involved in. It's a great way to make friends. Like Kaden was saying, a great way to find people with common interests outside of, art. But also if there's a specific interest that you have, you can always create a new club. Okay, so we're getting a lot of questions into the chat, and I think a lot of them are from parents. So I do want to let you know we're going to now invite parents and the staff to join a breakout room where you will have a chance to ask staff directly, any departmental related questions that you might have. Of course, if you want to stay here in the main Zoom meeting, you can feel free to sit here. We're going to continue the discussion of Q&A with our students. And I'm going to create that breakout room now and send you all an invitation.
And we'll all be able to move over there. It will be Georgia Pham, the registrar, myself, the director of admissions. Shannon, are you coming over to this room? Yes, Shannon Stockbridge from Munson Admissions and Brenda from Financial Services at Munson, and Tiffany Villaro at Student Affairs, correct? Sorry, I didn't want to get your title wrong. Yes. So we'll be moving over to the parent room to have a nice, frank conversation. So you can really dig in like a really particular way. And students, again, can stay here. Parents can choose whichever room they want to go to. We're also available through email, admissions@pratt.edu or admissions@prattmunson.edu. If you don't want to ask your questions on the call, that's totally fine. Okay. Bo, can you tell me again to get to the breakout room? Is it already there?
Yeah, it's already there. You should have the option to join now.
Okay, where is that again? Sorry.
At the bottom of your screen, next to where it says screen share, it should say breakout rooms. And you can click it and hit, nope, it's not there.
It doesn't. Maybe I'll expand my screen. That's what it said last time, but it's not there now. Here it is. Okay.
Good luck. I'll see you later. Okay, I'm just going to give everyone a moment to join that if they want to, at least the parents. The students, you can stick with me. We're going to go through any questions that you might have for our current and former students. So if you do have a question specifically for this current Pratt Munson student and current Pratt Institute student, please feel free to drop them into the chat. I'm going to give you a moment to type up your questions into the chat. And meanwhile, I have a question for you, Kaden. What is there to do around campus?
So, probably my favorite thing to do is the different RA activities that are hosted. Every now and then they'll throw an event in the dining hall, and they're really fun. Usually it's like karaoke. I know there's Just Dance tonight, stuff like that. We also have down in the basement of the student center, we have a student lounge that just got remodeled, and it's really cool down there now. It was cool before and even better now. You can, borrow board games and stuff like that. We have air hockey, pool, and then there's also a fitness center right next to that.
I feel like I heard you say at one point that you also really like the library.
Yes, the library. It's very nice in there. We have very comfortable bean bags, and there's puzzles.
Cool. I love the library. It's my favorite place. And Maisie, what were some of the things that you like to do around campus?
On campus, like Kaden mentioned, I loved going to RA events. I hosted a few really good ones when I was an RA. I also love the library. It's off campus, but I loved spending time at the Utica Library, which is just across the street. Beautiful architecture, great selection of books, because our on-campus library was mostly focused on art books and art-based literature. So I got to spend some time across the street at the Utica Public Library, which had some great, like, common, regular reading books. I also loved visiting the Tram, which is a cafe that's just off campus. Absolutely incredible. Like, the vibe in that place is so on point. It is like everything I've ever wanted in a little cafe. The people who work there are so nice. It's so comfortable and welcoming in there. I miss the Tram a lot.
I definitely know Kaden enjoys the tram too. And I mean, I've been going to the tram since I was a student here, all those years ago. And I will say they also have the best milkshakes and the best gluten-free cookies that I've ever had. Okay, we have a question. We have a couple questions in the chat. What can students do currently about dorms? Not sure about them yet, but I might have to dorm also. When do students get notified about schedules? So that's definitely a question for our staff. Wilbur, are you a student or a parent? You can unmute yourself.
I'm gonna be a freshman student.
Okay.
I haven't changed my name on here in a while, so it's still
Okay.
Wilbur. It's my nickname, but my name's William.
William, hi. Well, congratulations. And I'm really happy that you're considering Pratt Munson. I think it's a really cool opportunity and a cool option for you. So as far as residence halls go, we do have pretty strict policies about students residing on campus. The exception would be if you live within a 50-mile radius with your family. So if you're a local student, you can be approved as a commuter student, or if you're 23 years old or older, you can, rent an apartment nearby. But otherwise, students are encouraged to live on campus because you want to have as much access to studio time as possible in order to complete your schoolwork. Amazing's like, yes, you do. But we will send out housing assignments the first week of August. Usually they go out. So that will include your, like where you'll be living and who your roommates are, as well as their Pratt emails. And I remember when I was a student and I got my housing assignment, I looked up my roommates on social media and I reached out and I was like, oh, hey, where are you guys coming from? And what do you need me to bring? Because I grew up local, so I knew that there was a good chance that I was going to be providing a lot of the dishware and home goods. As far as schedules, those will also go out in early August. And I want to give you just a heads up. The enrollment guide or the enrollment deposit is due May 1st. You can submit at any time on or before May 1st to secure your place to attend in the fall. And then the first week of May, we'll be sending out an enrollment guide, and that's going to include your housing requests and dietary needs form. An optional form is a gender inclusive housing option. And so, Kaden, you live in the gender inclusive housing. Basically, that means you can live with any other student, regardless of their gender expression, gender identity, sexuality, etc. It's a very safe space. But that is an option that you have, and I think you can request up to 4 roommates on that form. So you have more options to choose who you want to live with. So yeah, do you have any other questions about that, William?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry, that was a lot of information, but if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Scott Brown, can you please drop my contact info into the chat? Thank you. Let's see. Someone has asked, is it Maz? Hi everyone, I'm Maz. Since attending Pratt Munson, what is the biggest change that you've seen in yourself? And this time, let's start with Kaden. What has changed about you?
Probably my confidence as an artist and as a queer individual. I for some reason I thought coming to art school would make me more self-conscious of my art since everyone else was also good at it. Um, unlike my high school, but just being around other artists and learning like so much, it just really made me flourish. Um, and then this campus is such like an inclusive space, and like Pratt in general, a very inclusive space for everyone to be themselves, no matter like gender expression or sexuality or ethnicity or your background, anything like that. Um, so yeah, it really helped like my confidence as a person.
I love that answer. And that's how I felt when I visited this campus. And honestly, that's why I chose Pratt Munson. How about you, Maisie? What did you see change about yourself by attending Pratt Munson?
I completely relate to everything that Kaden said in terms of confidence in myself as an artist and also feeling that safe space to explore my identity. And it really, those first 2 years that I had, that I spent at Pratt Munson, I really learned how to function as a human being on my own without, the pressures and or support of my family. Um, so it really taught me how to be more independent, but in a very safe and constructive environment where it was totally fine and normal for me to make mistakes and be learning how to be a person on my own. But yeah, I really became more independent, more confident in both my art and who I am.
Thank you. Let's see, that was a really good question. Okay, scrolling back. Okay, Parker, hi. Thank you for being here today. Parker has asked, is there student parking for first years? Yes, we offer parking for first years and sophomores. And Kaden, you have a vehicle, don't you?
Yes, I do. And I would like to say it's very worth having a car on campus. A lot of people don't think it's necessary. There is a Saturday shuttle that comes to take you to like all the necessary places. But I like having a car to like go out and explore or like do certain activities with my friends that aren't in walking distance. And it really helped me out, like it gave me that freedom the first like month of being at school.
Yeah, I will say also, if you bring a car, those students tend to be super popular because if, other students want to make a quick trip down to Target to get some goods or some snacks, they're going to be reaching out to you. But like Kaden said, it's definitely not necessary because we do offer a free shuttle bus just for our students on Saturdays. And that takes you to the mall, grocery store, art store, and more upon request. Hannah's asked, how are roommates assigned? That's a great question. So on that housing request form, it's going to ask students questions about their preference and habits, essentially. So like, are you somebody that needs it to be really quiet in the dorms in order to study? Are you somebody that prefers neatness? We obviously don't want to room somebody who needs to listen to music while they study, or prefers to not pick up after themselves with somebody who really needs to be organized and really needs quiet. So it's really based more off of who you are as a person, and that's how we tend to house students. But on the housing request form, you can also request up to one roommate. If you want to get connected with other students that are potentially coming in the fall, there is an Instagram account that you can follow. And I believe it's Pratt Class 2028. And for all three campuses, they're featuring students. So you can submit a little bit about yourself. You can submit a selfie, your artwork, a picture of your cat or lizard, whatever it is, and start to make some friends. I'm sure they're also, having private message groups and stuff. That's a great way to get connected, is through socials. It has no affiliation with admissions, just an FYI, it's a student-run Instagram account. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is that Aiden?
Done.
Hi, this student has asked, on average, how much homework is there a week? Maisie, do you want to speak for this? How much homework did you have at Pratt Munson, both your first and sophomore years?
I had a considerable amount of homework. But you're typically going to get an assignment for each class that's due the next time you meet, which on average, that's typically like 5 or 6, depending on how many credits you're taking, homework assignments each week. One of the things that I found, I was really nervous about the workload going into my first year. I was like, how am I going to do this? I just spent, 3 years as like an AP student, but I don't know if I can keep up. I found that it's so much easier to be doing homework that's artwork, and it's so much less taxing than like written work and like math homework and all of that stuff that really like kind of dragged me down in high school. I really flourished doing my homework when I was at Pratt Munson, but you're definitely going to get a considerable amount of work. But if you ever feel like you're falling behind or you're not able to manage the workload, all of the professors are super open to having conversations about this and working out a solution to get you where you need to be.
Hey, Hayden, do you want to answer that question too? On average, how much homework do you have each week?
I would say it depends on the week, but usually definitely a couple of hours per class. Usually the professors want you to spend as much class time. Like if it's a 4-hour class, then they want you doing 4 hours of homework. At least that was just what one of my professors told me. But yeah, it's not so much. I was also worried about the like workload, but it's not so much like difficult work. It's just very time consuming. So you definitely have to learn like you have to better your time management skills like I had to do.
Yeah, that is something that you learn the hard way. When you have a heavier workload, that especially for bigger projects, like finals are going to be longer projects that might go on for a couple of weeks, for example. But our student life director also can assist students with time management if needed. And that is a non-confidential resource that parents have access to. So, if your child really needs to meet with the student life director on a weekly basis. They can go over like what the students' needs are, how to manage their schoolwork and their personal life, family or friend life, whatever their needs are. And that's somebody that parents can reach out to and say, hey, is Caden showing up to class? Is Caden getting his work done? So that's a really great resource to you all. Let's see. Maz has asked, what do you guys like to do for fun in Utica? Any coffee shops or restaurants that you'd recommend? What's your favorite?
I mentioned the tram earlier. That was one of my favorite off-campus places to be. I also am 100% a theater kid, which is definitely like outing myself a little bit here. I got to see a couple great shows that were touring at the Stanley, which is just down the street on Genesee Street. Beautiful theater, absolutely stunning like interior architecture, and really great like Broadway shows that just kind of passed through Utica. I went I think about 3 times in my 2 years. I got to see some great stuff there and I had a lot of fun. It was like a little treat to myself.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those buildings that's worth checking out, even if you're just, swinging through for a weekend visit. How about you, Kaden? Do you have like a favorite restaurant or a favorite place to hang out around here other than the tram?
Right. I also really love the tram, but I I really like to go thrift shopping around Utica. There's definitely some like very good thrift shops, but as for restaurants, there's a few cafes that I've heard of that have really like good reviews, like Utica Coffee, who pairs with our dining hall. But I haven't been able to actually go in person yet. But there is an Olive Garden. So every time my family visits me, we go to Olive Garden.
Oh, you're lucky. I would say one of my favorite things about Utica is the food. We have a great diversity in our population in Utica. And incredible food comes out of that. A lot of really great cultural events, music comes out of that as well. I personally do like to go to a lot of the events and openings, like art openings off campus. So there is a lot to do. In our library, you'll see a local area events bulletin where, anything within an hour's drive will be posted. So if you're not from the local area, you can always find something to do. Tori has asked, do you recommend biking around? Is it safe and or worth it? Have either of you had bikes while you were here? No, I had a bike when I was a student. I actually started a bike club and we would ride our bikes about 10 miles a day, just exploring the city. I will say that we're right next to a major, I guess it's kind of like our main street called Genesee Street, and that has pretty heavy traffic. But a lot of these back roads are pretty easy to navigate safely. As long as you have like a helmet and reflective gear, you'll be fine. There's also a skate park, a new skate park a few blocks away. If you like skateboarding, I do. So that's another really cool thing if you're into extreme sports. But if you're just trying to get to like the pharmacy, it's pretty close by bike. And there's bike storage outside of the residence halls. What are the range of classes like outside of required first year classes? Is there room to explore subjects outside of your focus? This is the perfect question, I think, for you especially, Maisie. So like, you were an art and design education major, your focus was painting, and you took these printmaking classes, you took drawing classes. So can you talk a little bit about that cross-disciplinary exploration?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely room to explore and you're encouraged to explore. I know that fine arts majors are required to take a handful of studio-based electives outside of their focus. For instance, I know one of my roommates who was a painting major and is now a printmaking major, had to take a handful of print classes and also a 3D class. You're really encouraged to explore outside of what your studio kind of concentration is. And correct me if I'm wrong, this year, ComD students are also given the opportunity to take fine arts electives.
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
Yes.
Because I heard that, but that was through the grapevine.
No, I
and
know. I think you're the one that
That's
told
so
me
exciting.
last year that that was going to be a thing. So the rumors are true. Comedy majors and photo majors, I believe, can take fine arts electives their sophomore year. So if you are a graphic design major, illustration or photography, and you love painting or you want to try printmaking, you can take that class. And then another option is also the community arts education program. There's a wide range of different classes you can take, from animation to fashion, jewelry, ceramics. I took a welding class recently and I'm gonna take it again. So if you want to learn like a new skill, even if it's just a life skill, not necessarily something that like enhances your career path, but scratches that itch of any sort of interest you have or curiosity, you can take those classes. That's a good question. Thank you, Maisie. Hannah's asked, how did you guys manage group projects? Were the other students willing to help, or did you struggle to work with others? That is a good question. Kaden, have you done any group projects yet?
I think the only group project I've done is in my English class. And it wasn't even really a group project. It was just like we were put into groups to go over each other's essays.
Oh, well,
Um,
peer review.
So yeah, yeah, there's definitely a lot of peer review of your own work. Not a lot of group projects, at least in my experience.
How about you, Maisie? I know for sure you did a collaboration in a printmaking class.
Yeah, I ended up doing a handful of group projects. Definitely, there was not a huge focus on group projects because, classes are really focused in on trying to get you and your art practice jump started and moving and growing. But in my experience with the group projects, the other students were super great and helpful because I think that, at least in my experience, it was a very constructive community. Like, we all want to see ourselves succeed, but we also all wanted to see our peers succeed. And so, yeah, group projects went pretty smoothly. And I mean, I also got very lucky and got grouped with my friends a lot of the times. But it's really important to build that skill of working in a community environment and with other people, because the art world is in a lot of ways collaborative. So it's definitely a skill that needs to be exercised, but I would not worry about group projects.
Yeah, and I just to bounce off of that, I think, going to art school, being around people that you maybe don't know very well off the bat, communication is key, and it's like one of those first steps into adulthood. So we really do stress communication on our campus and every area, even if it's just like communicating with your roommates what your boundaries are. Okay, and Hannah has another question. Are there any places you like studying off campus? And I'll ask you, Kaden, do you go anywhere to study off campus with your friends or by yourself?
Not really off campus, but I usually I know people like go to the library. Um I recently discovered a like little ceramics library in the upstairs of the ceramics building, and it's the vibes are just great. It's so like tiny and quiet, and I'd love to go study there sometime.
Yeah, it's like a really cute little hideaway. You found that secret space. Proud of you. I think I did show it to you and Santos at some point on like a campus tour. How about you, Maisie? Where's your favorite place, or where was your favorite place to go to study?
Um, I can't reiterate it enough. I love the tram. The tram is a really great place to study, but there's also a handful of other really great little coffee shops in the area where it was really great to meet up with a couple friends and just sit down and do work and then also kind of not do work and just enjoy the atmosphere. Like I've been to Utica Coffee quite a few times in study groups. There's also I went to Character Coffee, which is on Genesee Street, maybe once or twice. And there's a lot of little great spots. I also, of course, love the Utica Public Library. Great. Like if you need a quieter space that's off campus and outside of your room, libraries are great. I love the library.
That's perfect. Thank you both. So Maz is curious, how are the winters in Utica? And Maisie, you weren't from this upstate area per se. So, somebody coming from out of state, how did you feel about the Utica winters?
Well, I actually am from New York, just a little bit south of Utica.
Okay.
I live, my hometown is about actually halfway between Utica and Brooklyn. So it's super great for going back and forth because that commute was about the same. So I was pretty acclimated to the cold and the snow, but it was definitely quite a bit more snow than I was used to. Um, I'm a winter lover. I grew up skiing and enjoying time in the snow, in the cold, in the mountains. So I loved it. Um, one of my friends and roommates is from North Carolina, and she is used to significantly more tamer and more mild winters. But I would just recommend getting a good, warm, waterproof coat and some good snow boots, and then you'll be set.
I agree. How about you, Kaden? I know you're kind of from a city nearby as well.
Yeah, I'm also nearby, so I was already used to the winters, but one of my roommates is from Tennessee, so it's definitely funny, like watching my friends and peers get adjusted to the weather here that I've always like grown up around. Um, like they're like, oh, Kaden, when is it? When does spring start here? Like when is it gonna get warmer? And I'm like, probably not for a bit.
Yeah, we have long winters, but you definitely adapt to it very easily. And we do go for like, skiing trips off campus if you're someone interested, again, in like being outside. Um, and I'm trying to think, a lot of your coursework is going to be going on. So you'll be spending a lot of time in the studios. Our maintenance team is super equipped to deal with ice and snow promptly. Um, and you also have a winter break. So for like a whole month, you miss everything that I get to experience by staying in Utica. But yeah, I agree with Maisie. Just make sure that you have a nice winter coat, hats, gloves. Boots are essential. Doc Martens are popular with art students. Layers. I think this is our last question for now. If you have any last minute questions, it looks like the parent Q&A is still going on. But Hannah wants to know, what time of day do you usually have classes, or were you allowed to choose? And I want to say your schedule is predetermined by the registrar your first year for your first semester, especially. And those will be going out in early August. We try to schedule students so that you have classes 4 days out of the week, and you will almost always have one weekday off. You'll always have weekends off. Some of the academic classes take place at night, but they're shorter classes. And then your studio classes take place during the day. Usually they're from like 8:30 until 2 o'clock or 9 o'clock to 2:30. So they're about 4.5 hours long. They're intense. And of course, you get little breaks in between. So it's a pretty typical, it's similar to what, high school classes are like, other than the academic classes at night. Let's see. How do you find the heating and AC in the dorms? Do you have fans or heaters? Kaden, do you want to answer this?
So I would definitely recommend bringing a fan or two, probably two, multiple, because the like especially when you first get here, it can get a little sweaty. Especially like move-in day, you're moving up and down stairs. But yeah, we're not allowed air conditioning, but there is heating in the winter, so that's great.
Beautiful, thank you. Mads wants to know, this question's for anyone. How are alum connections and career help? Is that geared more towards the Brooklyn campus? I would say that there are some opportunities to network with alum at Pratt Munson. Maisie and Kaden, did either of you go to the family alumni weekends?
I did. I got to help you out at a family and alumni weekend. Yeah, it was great to see and kind of get to, I mean, I was there as like support staff, more or less, to help answer questions for families and possibly incoming students. But yeah, I definitely would say that like career connections are something that you'd explore more at the Brooklyn campus, because it's typically after your sophomore year that people are looking for internships and more connections within, your chosen field. Also, here at the Brooklyn campus, there's a great Center for Careers and Professional Development, and they will help you find and make those connections. But I'd say that it definitely is more, at least more concentrated at the Brooklyn campus.
Yes, and like I mentioned in the presentation, in that Pratt Munson gallery we have on campus, we do have an alumni show each year. And so alumni will exhibit their work and they'll also give an artist talk. So that's a good opportunity for students to ask them questions about their experience here and at the Brooklyn campus. But also ask them questions about the work they've been creating, who they've been creating for. We do keep an eye on our alum, especially the professors. So for example, if Maisie wanted to apply for a summer job doing printmaking, she could always reach out to Andrew, our printmaking professor, and ask for a letter of recommendation or job references. And we also have some alum come and visit us to give artist talks. So yeah, there are some connections that are like really within that intimate, I guess, experience, but as far as the career help, a lot of that's going to happen your upperclassmen years, which makes more sense because a lot of businesses want to see that you have experience as a designer before they take you on as an internship or for a part-time position that will hopefully eventually lead into a full-time job. The Center for Careers and Professional Development is something that alum have access to for the rest of your life as an alumni. So that's great because they can help you with your artist CV, your resume. They can help with anything that you need, even if you just want to know, hey, what job opportunities are out there? So that's something you can really take advantage of. Awesome. So thank you all for all these incredible questions. I think we got some really good ones. And I want to again invite you to reach out to the staff at Pratt Munson, as well as the staff at Pratt Institute here, Natalie and Campbell. If you ever have any further questions after today, I'm sure we gave you all a lot to think about. So you're probably gonna take some time to process that. So yeah, thank you again. And we will be sending the recording of this student Q&A and the presentation to all students that have attended and were unable to attend. So you will have access to this to look back on. All right, thank you again. I hope you all have a lovely day and I hope to get connected again soon.
Thank you for coming. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank
You
you.
too.